This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
An Israeli military court has postponed the release of 21 Palestinian ministers and parliament members, including the head of the Legislative Council. According to the Israeli District Attorney's Office, the defendants pose a threat to Israel because they are affiliated with the Hamas movement.
Once again, Palestinian ministers and parliament members appeared before the Aufar military court, where the presiding judge overturned a previous ruling ordering their release. 3 ministers and 18 parliament members, including the head of the Palestinian Legislative Council, are still waiting a court decision ordering their release. The district attorney's office has appealed a previous court decision in which a former judge ordered the release of detained Palestinian officials. The presiding judge adjourned today's session without rendering a decision on the appeal. Meanwhile, some Palestinians believe that today's court decision was politically motivated because Israel wants to finalize a deal that would secure the release of its abducted soldier.
Without a doubt, there has been mounting pressure on the appellate court by the Israeli government and various political leaders to overturn a previous court ruling ordering the release of the detainees. We hope that the appellate court will affirm the previous decision and orders their release. Undoubtedly, their release will help improve the political situation internally, and it will improve it in terms of Palestine and Israel as well.
Many Palestinians, including the detainees' families, were not surprised by the court's decision.
We were hoping to see my ailing father, who has been jailed in solitary confinement. However, we had a feeling that the court would not release him. We do not have any trust in the Israeli judicial system.
Israeli prosecutors told the appellate court that the detainees pose a threat to Israel and they must not be released as ordered by a previous judge. Moreover, the district attorney's office asked the appellate judge to try the detained Palestinian officials on charges stemming from their affiliation with a terrorist organization referring to the Hamas movement. Meanwhile, the defense refuted the prosecutor's allegation, confirming that Hamas has been complying with the cooling-off period for a long time.
6 months ago, the Israeli government approved and offered help to the Palestinians during the parliamentary elections. Therefore, Israel cannot come out and say that it had changed its previous position, especially since the judge had ruled that the defendants could not be tried retroactively in a court of law.
This was not the first time an Israeli court had overturned a previous ruling. In fact, the Israeli military court extended the detention of the Palestinian deputy prime minister after a court had previously ordered his release. Israel is trying to portray that it has a fair judicial and legal system. However, the fact remains that the fate of the detained Palestinian parliament members will not be decided in this court. Meanwhile, Israel is trying to send a message to the Palestinians that it holds the bargaining chips to use for the release of its abducted soldier. Shireen Abu Akla, Al Jazeera, from the Aufar Court, West Ramallah. Is it a problem of unpaid employees, or is it a problem of settling political scores? What happened in Gaza today undoubtedly shows that Fatah and Hamas have entered the phase of settling accounts. Unpaid government employees attacked the convoy of Prime Minister Ismail Haniyeh, preventing him from giving a speech in the Palestinian Legislative Council. And Fatah parliament members suspended their participation in the parliament session, protesting what they called an assault on government employees by Haniyeh's entourage. Saifuddin Shaheen provides us with the following report from Gaza.
Once again, people were pushing each other and shooting in the air outside the Palestinian Legislative Council. This time, tens of government employees who were on strike due to unpaid salaries clashed with Ismail Haniya's entourage as he was on his way to deliver an urgent speech in the Palestinian Legislative Council concerning the ongoing economic and political crisis. The employees accused the Prime Minister's entourage and security forces of demeaning them, using vulgar words and assaulting them without provocation. They said that their objective was to make their voices heard and that they will continue to protest until they are paid.
One person who was with the Prime Minister stuck his weapon outside the car window and started shooting in the air. He defamed Palestinian women and insulted them using vulgarity. The Prime Minister who was with him in the car heard him. The employees who were near the car also heard him.
We, members of the Government Employees Guild, will file a complaint to the Attorney General against Brother Ismail Haniya, who dared to assault the employees, including females, some of whom were transported to the Shifa hospital.
Despite these clashes, the Prime Minister was able to get into the Legislative Council, but he could not deliver his speech because Fatah Parliament members withdrew from the meeting and declared that their participation in the Legislative Council will be suspended.
The Fatah movement decided to suspend the participation of its parliament members in this Legislative Council session. The movement demands that all those who participated in the assault on parliament members and people be tried in court.
The Legislative Council said that it will continue to consult with different parties in order to hold another session in the near future and accused what it described as politically motivated individuals of trying to create a politically charged atmosphere.
We demand an investigation with the suspected parties who conspired to foil this parliament session. We call on our people to be cautious of this campaign of incitement led by the US and Israel and aimed at creating a politically charged atmosphere.
The incident ended and the Palestinian Legislative Council was forced to suspend its session. The striking employees continued their strike amidst a tense atmosphere in a tent outside of the Legislative Council. The decision of the Palestinian president to freeze negotiations over the formation of a national unity government started to have an impact on the ground, reaching the Palestinian Legislative Council. Furthermore, the crisis may affect agreements that were signed by Fatah and Hamas parliament members.
Arabiya Gaza.
Three Hezbollah terrorists captured during the recent Lebanon war were indicted in an Israeli court today. Justice Ministry officials say the men are charged with murder, attempted murder, kidnapping, and membership in a terrorist organization. One of the suspects is alleged to have been involved in planning and carrying out the cross-border incursion on July 12th that sparked the war. In that incident, 8 IDF soldiers were killed, and 2 others, Ayub Goldwasser and Elad Regev, were kidnapped. The suspects were identified as Mahmoud Ali Suleiman, Mohammed Zarour, and Maher Korani. All 3 of the men have told investigators that they underwent military training in Iran. We did not know enough about Hezbollah's deployment in South Lebanon. Those were the words of a senior IDF officer who today told reporters that the Army's ground intelligence was not up to par during the latest Lebanon war. The officer said the Army used old maps and had insufficient information. And while the Air Force had updated surveillance intelligence for 2006, the ground forces used information dating from the year 2000. The IDF officer said, had we received more concrete information on Hezbollah's deployment in South Lebanon, we could have dealt with them using other techniques. There was also a lack of coordination between the Air Force and ground troops. The senior officer told reporters that the war highlights the need for one group to take care of all emergency issues. Reports are circulating that Foreign Minister Tzipi Livni will meet PA Chairman Mahmoud Abbas in New York on the sidelines of the General Assembly at the United Nations. Here to shed some light on that story and other issues, Mark Regev, spokesman for the Foreign Ministry. Mark, welcome in.
Thank you.
Will that meeting take place?
Yes, it's scheduled to happen at 9 o'clock tonight New York time. The Foreign Minister's first meeting will take place in a very short time with Secretary of State Rice, and she's got about 10 meetings during the day with leaders from Arab countries, European countries, and so forth, and she finishes her working day with Abbas.
Why, some would say, why is she meeting Abbas at all? There's chaos in the Palestinian Authority still. They haven't formed their national unity government. The Hamas-led portion of the government doesn't want to recognize Israel. Why even meet?
I think our message to the Palestinian leader is clear. We say to him, if he can do what he's committed to do, and so far hasn't done, that is form a government which will have the three quartet principles as part of that government: recognition of Israel, renunciation of terrorism, and acceptance of all the signed agreements in the peace process, and bring about the release of Gilad Shalit, then the door is open, because that will cause important impetus in the Middle East peace process that will energize the peace process. But her message is equally clear: if they don't meet those very minimal benchmarks, then I'm afraid we're in for more stagnation that's not good for Israel, neither is it good for the Palestinians.
And just today there was a new poll released that 66% of the Palestinians questioned believe that the Hamas government should not recognize Israel. Doesn't seem like we have much of a peace partner.
Well, I don't think anyone saw Hamas as a peace partner, and I think that's, we're never going to have peace unless we have mutual recognition. And I mean, she's at the UN, and ultimately, if you think about it from a historical perspective, what does Israel say today? On Lebanon, we say implement UN Security Council Resolution 1701. On the Palestinian issue, we say implement the roadmap, which is a UN Security Council endorsed document. Ultimately, international legitimacy is on Israel's side today, and the Palestinians under Hamas have painted themselves into a diplomatic corner where they have no support anywhere in the international community.
People held demonstrations and made statements condemning Pope Benedict XVI's comments despite his apology. The Iranian spiritual leader, Ali Khamenei, considered the Pope's comments as part of an American-Israeli conspiracy to sow conflicts between the religions.
Pope Benedict XVI's speech continues to be debated in the Arab and Muslim worlds. In the city of Basra, hundreds of people demonstrated and lit on fire an effigy of the Pope. They also burned the American and German flags. The demonstrators demanded that the Pope apologize. According to a newspaper report, the Vatican embassies in the Muslim countries will present clarification to political and religious authorities about what happened. Pope Shenouda of Egypt's Coptic Orthodox Church urged Arab leaders to enlighten the world by giving an accurate image of Islam through speeches in European languages.
I would have liked him to have calculated the potential reactions to his statements, but since he has already made the statements, he must now deal with the consequences.
Similar comments were made by the former mufti of the Al-Azhar Mosque, Mahmoud Ashur.
I do not think it is enough, because the Pope did not apologize. He merely regretted a misunderstanding, meaning that people did not understand him correctly. Now, he's also accusing Muslims of misunderstanding him, despite the fact that what he said was a clear and open defamation of Islam.
In response to the Pope's comments, the Mujahideen Shura Council in Iraq, which includes Al-Qaeda, vowed to continue their jihad until the West is defeated.
Tonight, the topic of our program is September 11th and the war on terrorism. Professor Abdul Wahab Badr Khan, something historic happened in the 1940s. Japanese warplanes attacked Pearl Harbor in the United States. After the attack, one Japanese general was quoted saying, "We have awakened a sleeping giant." Then Hiroshima and Nagasaki were attacked by nuclear bombs. Was the US a sleeping giant? And did September 11th awaken it to what is happening in the region? Or was the US waiting for such an attack to justify what it has been doing?
لكي تقوم بما تقوم به حاليا؟
يعني في سؤال محير، يعني كيف يجتمع أسامة بن لادن ورفاقه في نفس الحقبة الزمنية مع وصول المحافظين الجدد إلى الإدارة الأمريكية؟ يعني
This is a very interesting point. It is a fact that Osama bin Laden and his group emerged on the world scene the same time the neoconservatives came to power in the United States. I am not talking about a conspiracy theory, but this is a very interesting coincidence.
كانت تعتقد الولايات المتحدة أن أحدا لن يجرؤ على مهاجمتها على أراضيها، فحصل هذا الهجوم. المارد كان يعتقد بأنه لا أحد يستطيع أن يلمس به. الحرب الباردة مرت رغم كل الرعب.
After the Pearl Harbor incident, the United States thought that no one would ever dare to attack it on its own soil. Then September 11th attacks happened. The giant thought that no one would dare to touch it. Despite all the fears and concerns during the Cold War era, the two superpower countries did not attack one another. Due to the balance of terror which dominated the world, the two sides did not attack one another because they were not willing to bear the catastrophic consequences. Without a doubt, the September 11th events provoked the superpower and made it go crazy. The United States went berserk. The United States has not yet returned to sanity, which is evident by the fact that the policies that were initiated after the United States went crazy are still in effect.
ولا تزال تقريبا في اللوثة، لم تخرج منها، بدليل أنها وضعت سياساتها من خلال الجنون الذي جنته في ذلك اليوم. لا يزال كما قلت سابقا كل
In essence, all United States policies are motivated by vengeance. What is happening in Iraq was pre-calculated. The United States knew that there would be losses, but the goal was to move the war on terror somewhere else. Did the United States invade Iraq because it wanted to move the war on terrorism to another location? I do not think so. Moving the war on terrorism to Iraq is good for public consumption.
كانوا فعلا بالأساس يعتقدون أنه هم ذهبوا إلى العراق لنقل الحرب على الإرهاب إلى مكان آخر؟ لا أعتقد، إنما هذه حجة تنفع لكي يمرروها أمام الجمهور.
Do you think that if the 19 hijackers did not carry out the September 11th attacks, the US would have still toppled the Taliban and Saddam Hussein regimes?
بهذه الحملات على طريقة حروب القرون الوسطى والحروب
At least, the United States would not have changed these regimes by using Roman or Middle Age methods. I do not think that the United States would have conducted the war on terror in this manner. Perhaps it would have been more beneficial to use a different approach. The United States could have used reasonable, effective, and covert methods to change the Taliban and Saddam Hussein regimes. This could have been done without wars and invasions. At least, the United States could have studied the facts on the ground in the two countries and dealt with them accordingly. The United States could have solved the problem in Iraq with 1/3 of the money that it has already spent there.
العراق بأقل يعني ربما بثلث المبلغ.
أوضح رئيس الوزراء البريطاني توني بلير رؤيته.
The British Foreign Minister Office released a statement explaining Prime Minister Tony Blair's political views. What drew attention to the statement were the sharp criticisms of those who he described as rebels against the war on terrorism, who are demanding to limit America's international role. According to the statement, the world strongly needs America to resolve its urgent problems. Blair considered anti-Americanism a type of madness. He called for forming a coalition of moderates against extremists. He criticized Western democracies for what he believed to be reluctance in fighting terrorism. He said that the Arab-Israeli conflict is the source of tension in the region. He vowed that Britain would pay greater attention to the Middle East. With us in the studio, Perry Martin, the official spokesman for the British Foreign Office. Welcome. Tony Blair's statements, which we heard earlier, and he is, after 1 year, going to leave office. Can we view his statements as a political departure, Will?
إلى أي مدى يمكن اعتبارها بمثابة وصية سياسية؟
أولاً توني بلير يعتقد أن لا يزال لديه دور مهم
First, Tony Blair thinks that he still has an important role to play in the international arena, specifically in the Middle East. He returned a few days ago from his latest visit to the Middle East. He wanted to focus the world's attention on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and make political progress just by being there, especially after the war in Lebanon.
تقدم سياسي وخصوصا بعد الحرب في لبنان.
Harry, some people believe that Blair's statements aim to gain America's favor, and thus he is in effect asking for divorce from Europe.
طبعا مهما كان موقفك من السياسة الأمريكية
Whatever America's political position is, it has a major role in the world arena, so we must deal with the Americans in a positive manner. For example, in the conflict between the Palestinians and the Israelis, there can be no progress without cooperation from all countries in the international community, especially America. This cooperation is essential.
If you say Blair believes in the important role the U.S. can play in resolving global problems, then why does he not apply the needed pressure to reach a resolution regarding the Palestinian plight?
هناك لا أتكلم عن ضغوط لكن لا نزال نتعامل مع هذا.
I will not talk about pressures, but we continue to deal with this issue with our American and European colleagues as well as others. The important thing is that Britain plays its role as a mediator and pushes the Middle East peace process forward. Tony Blair is committed to do all that he can during the time he has left.
إلى الأمام وتوني بلير ملتزم بفعل كل ما بوسعه في الوقت المتبقي عليه.
However, Blair is being criticized for not playing the role of mediator and that he is just following U.S. policies.
في بعض الأحيان سياستنا تختلف من السياسات الأمريكية. مثلا
Of course, sometimes our policies differ from American policies. For example, Tony Blair criticized Guantanamo on different occasions. He said that this place must be closed down. So it is wrong to say that Britain always agrees with the United States policies.
Of course, there are differences on non-detrimental issues. However, I'm talking about detrimental issues, such as the Middle East. On this, Blair does not differ with U.S. policies.
I do not want to make comparisons, but it is important that the international community acts with unity. Perhaps there can be progress on these important issues if there is an agreement among different countries. There can be progress on these issues, especially in the Middle East.
من المستبعد أن يكون هناك تقدم في مجال وخصوصا في قضية الشرق الأوسط.
Who do you think that Tony Blair was talking about when he pointed to European politicians describing them as mad if they are not with America? Who was he talking about?
أنا لا أريد أن أخمن هذا ولكن
I do not want to try to guess, but he meant that all of us in Europe must cooperate in a positive way with our American colleagues and friends on important issues, especially the Middle East.
Perry Martin, the official spokesman for the British Foreign Office. Thank you very much.
Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has been awarded Venezuela's highest medal of honor, the Liberator Medal, by Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez.
Hugo Chavez, Presidente de la República Bolivariana de Venezuela.
In the award-giving ceremony in Caracas on Monday, Chavez said the Iranian president is awarded due to his persistence in confronting expansionist policies of hegemonic powers. President Ahmadinejad in turn said Iranians honor Venezuelans for the bold decision they have made to be free and independent, not letting arrogant states such as the U.S. interfere with their country's internal affairs. Meanwhile, joint political-economic delegations of two sides sealed 29 cooperation deals on several fronts, among them culture, politics, industry, energy, oil, and telecommunications. Once the documents are put into effect, the volume of Iran-Venezuela trade exchange, currently standing at $7 million, will reach $15 million.
في تقرير المدار الأخير لم تمنع الإعاقة الجسدية غسان دبغي.
Physical disabilities did not prevent the Syrian artist Ghassan Dabaghi from developing his many talents. His exceptional capabilities began to emerge during his childhood. He started painting when he was 7 years old. Later, he developed his musical talents by composing music, playing instruments, and singing. Now he's using his talents in photography and graphic design that are being used in commercial advertisements.
عازف بارع تلامس ألحانه شغاف القلب. غسان دبغي.
He is a skilled guitarist who can play moving rhythms. Physical disabilities did not prevent this multi-talented artist from achieving his artistic ambitions. Although he was born paralyzed in both legs, this disability did not stop him. He began his journey as a modest artist in the coastal town of Binias. Then he traveled to Paris, the capital of art. He uses art to express his ideas and feelings.
لتنمية موهبة أرادها أن تترجم ما يجول في قلبه وعقله.
الفن هو سبب توازن يمكن نفسي أنا بحسه.
Art balances me out. This is how I feel. If my life did not include art, then it would be dry and very limited. It helps me discover myself and helps me understand myself and the people around me better. Art enables me to understand the place, the time, and the environment that I am living in.
والزمن اللي أنا فيه والبيئة اللي أنا فيها.
He started composing soft tunes as a child. When he was 7 years old, he looked for lighter strings for his oud, so his family helped him invent a new kind of strings made of rubber and nylon materials.
هذه التجربة أفرزت ملحنا طرح أشرطة في الأسواق وبصحبة.
Along with his friend Nizar, he established a recording studio to promote musical records.
على كل حال يجيد عازفنا اليوم وببراعة العزف على آلة الجيتار أيضا.
His music has warmth. It has something mysterious in it. I think he projects a different kind of feeling than ordinary people. This is how I feel.
المرحلة التالية كانت مرحلة طلعت فيها على النوتة، تعلمت قراءة نوتة، قراءة سولفيج.
Then I learned to read musical notes. This changed the way I look at music. I started seeing it as a science. I had teachers who helped teach me new things and new songs.
استفيد من خبرتهم، يعطوني أشياء جديدة كنوت كمعزوفات، حاول أنا استخرجها.
لم تنتهي طموحات خريجي كلية الفنون الجميلة في مجال الرسم والموسيقى.
The ambitions of this artist, who graduated from the College of Fine Arts, go beyond just painting and music. He enjoys creating graphic designs for commercial advertisements. Using his own skills, he was able to build a market niche for himself in the ad world. He signed several contracts with various companies after mastering this technique in Europe. The long road that this artist took was not paved for him. He had to work hard, using his pure music to take him to very far places where his wheelchair could not go to.
المتحرك. في برنامج المدار توفيق يازجي قناة أبو ظبي دمشق.
The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. Please visit linktv.org/Mosaic for more information about these broadcasters or to view previous Mosaic programs, obtain program transcripts, or receive the weekly Mosaic Intelligence Report. Mosaic is made possible by a grant from the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation. Additional support is provided by the Firedoll Foundation, the Otto Haas Charitable Trust, and by committed Link TV viewers like you. If you value this program, please send your tax-deductible contribution to Link TV, either through the website or the mailing address listed on your screen. This program was brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. television network devoted to global and national news, with uncompromising documentaries and diverse cultural programs which connect you to the world.